Gridiron Warrior podcast is built for strength and football coaches who want to run the best possible programs for their athletes and their communities. Each episode delivers simple, practical coaching advice that transfers straight from the weight room to the field. No theory, no fluff, no fancy words, just real world strategies from coaches that are living it. So you can build stronger, faster, more durable athletes at any level. This week's episode of the Gridiron Warrior podcast features Coach Joe Gilfedder from Rutgers. And Joe's a good friend of mine. We go way back to our days GAing together at Springfield. But nobody brings the juice, the passion, and the competition to football workouts like Joe does. So we went in all different ways you can add competitions into your offseason and your winter workouts. It's going to be great for the high school coaches out there. If you're watching on YouTube, we battled through some technical difficulties. So if you're watching, I appreciate you doing that. But this is a great episode. A lot of energy, a lot of passion out of Joe. We love it. Enjoy. From the beginning, I've committed to only bringing on sponsors that I myself use and would confidently recommend to any coach. And that's why I'm fired up to partner with Train Heroic. Train Heroic is the platform I use to write programs, run my own training, and deliver workouts to athletes and whole teams. It's clean, it's coach friendly, and your athletes are actually going to go in the app and use it and enjoy it, compared to some of the other ones that are out there. If you're a strength coach looking for a better way to program and get that information to your athletes, or if you're a coach and you just want, plug and play, ready to go training programs that you don't have to build, Train Heroic is it. Okay. And here's the kicker for anyone that is a supporter of the Gridiron Warrior. Start a free 90-day trial of Train Heroic using the link, trainheroic.com/Gridiron Warrior. And I'll drop 2 12-week training programs right into your account so that you don't have to start from scratch. You can start with 2 12-week programs built in there, tweak them, change them, customize them, and get a good feel of using the app. And those will be in there for you so you can use those. So head to www.trainheroic.com/Gridiron Warrior, start your 90-day free trial, and reply to your welcome email saying that you want those 2 12-week training programs from me, and I'll make sure you get those. If you're a high school coach trying to bring structure and feedback to your jump and speed training, you need to check out the Plow Mat. The switch mat technology is precise, durable, and it's far more reliable than those laser-based systems. More importantly, the feedback is instant. Your jump height, your contact time, RSI, it's all shown on the remote, the controller, and it's logged in their app as well. You can use it every single day as a checkpoint. Are your athletes hitting plow numbers or thresholds? We use it in season to gauge readiness. You can check their ground reaction force and see if their springs are there as well. It's something that you'll bring out and use every single day in the weight room. If you follow Rich Burnett, the founder, you already know that the education piece is big too. He's a high school guy at heart, and so is the company. So, Plow Mat is there to provide everything that we talk about in Gridiron Warrior, actionable results, real service, great customer service, and they're trying to bring jump training to the next level. So happy to support them. Check out the Plow Mat. All right, welcome back to another episode of the Gridiron Warrior podcast. Today, I'm fired up. I got my good friend, Coach Joe Gilfedder, on the podcast. We're going to talk about some off-season competition stuff because I don't think there's anybody better. I don't think there's anybody that brings the juice like him. But, Coach, take it away. Tell us your story. Tell us as many chapters as you want, where you've been, what you've done. Leave out whatever you don't want. The floor is yours.
So, my name's Joe Gilfedder, originally from New Jersey. Been an athlete all my life. Became obsessed with strength and conditioning very early on in high school. I knew that's what I wanted to do early on. Was able to go to Ithaca College, Division III powerhouse in Central New York, and play football there for 4 years. From there, actually went to Springfield College where I met Coach Leach, and 2 of the best years of my life learning, training, coaching with some of the hungriest coaches, best teachers, and hardest working athletes I've ever been around at Springfield College. And then my first position outside of Springfield College was actually at Dartmouth College in New Hampshire. So transitioned to the Ivy League, making pennies, but could not be happier to coach 12, 13, 14 teams in a day, but absolutely loved it. And there I was actually able to learn and work with Spencer Brown, who I currently work with now at Rutgers University with their football team. He's the head strength coach there. So I was able to reunite with him, which was absolutely, um, a dream for me. It's something that we talked about back in 2015. Um, in between, I was the head strength and conditioning coach at Fordham University in the Bronx for about 7 years and absolutely loved that. Worked with everyone from basketball to cheer and dance and football, but primarily been working with football over the last 10 to 12 years and currently have been at Rutgers University for the last 4 months. So we're recording this towards the end of our season right now, but we got one game against Penn State, and it's hopefully a battle to go for a bowl. So it's very, very exciting.
Now I'm gonna have to go and work my magic here and try and get the clips up so people can see it. But prior to us meeting at Springfield College, we did have one meeting before that.
Oh yeah,
And
head to head,
I,
head to
I
head.
I was center. He was a middle linebacker, and the thing about the immovable object and the unstoppable force, I think, happened on the football field that day. I think it was just a mutual collision that nobody could win. That was our one collision the entire game. Somewhere in there, we got caught in the mix. So
I
that's
mean,
a
what
fun
happens
fact
when
there.
Hulk Hogan meets Andre the Giant? It's like
Exactly.
a
It's a
battle for the
blockbuster.
ages right there.
No doubt. So, like Coach mentioned, obviously we came together at Springfield College. We've been friends ever since, and we worked together with the football program at Springfield, and we did a lot of off-season competitions and things like that today. But just you retelling your story reminds me of there's some stuff at Dartmouth that we can definitely lean into today as well in terms of their off-season competition because Spencer does a great job with that. But this was the big thing. This was something that on our inside group, one of our coaches said, "Hey, the off-season's coming up, the winter's coming up, and we need to find ways to make winter workouts and winter because it's a long time. When you think about it, it's if your season ends around Thanksgiving, like when we're pretty much recording this, Thanksgiving until, if you don't have a spring season or anything like that, that's a long time before you're playing football again, and you need to keep the competitive juices flowing. So that's kind of going to be the topic today. But where do you want to start? Do you want to start with the team competition type stuff you did at Dartmouth? I would like to start with that, and we'll save the money in the bank for later because I think that's a great piece. But I think a lot of coaches, a lot of programs like to do the off season where you split the team up. I don't do that in particular, so I'd love to hear how you guys have done that and what the layout, what the format looks like.
Yeah. So things that we've done in the past, particularly with a large group like football, and it's always important to remember that a large percentage of the year is off season, and a large percentage of your training population, they're not there necessarily for the weight room. While we love the weight room, and I'll completely get enamored by the periodization, the rep scheme, the sets, the intensities, the tempos. Okay, the athletes are not like that. So yes, we need to equip them with the correct physical tools, but we need to inspire them as well. And one of the things that we've done in the past, we'll continue to do at Rutgers, but we did at Dartmouth as well, is off-season competition. And typically, because it's such a large group, we'll split them up into 4 teams. And we've had a different theme every single year. One year was superheroes. So you got, the Hulk squad, you got the Iron Man squad, you got the, Avengers, or you're doing woodsmen, you're doing axemen, you're doing some type of theme for that group. And it's got to be married to what the overall theme and culture is of the team. Like, what's the singular focus, culture builder idea of this upcoming season? And we're going to marry that off-season competition series to it. And every day, every week, somehow, some way, we are going to have some type of competition. And we have an entire list of like 50 or 60 different competitions. Something that can be as simple as loading the correct weight on the bar in, correct time. And we know that a lot of our athletes don't know bar math quite like we do. So it can be funny. It can be, something educational to know what 240 looks like on the bar versus.
I was gonna say I want to give our coaches here as many good ideas as possible. I've done that one in the past as well. So you have your team Hulk, you have your team Spider-Man or whatever. You're putting them on two opposite racks, and you're saying 3, 2, 1. 138 pounds, or well, that'd be a really tough one. That'd be a really tough one to do. But 170 pounds, right? And then they have to load that barbell like they're gonna load it for a squat correctly, clips on, hands up when they're done, something like that. Are you doing like a best 2 out of 3? Are you doing, how is that? Am I pretty much on with what that competition looks like? Do you do winner take all? You're a 2 out of 3 guy. I feel like you're a one and done. You got one shot.
To be honest with you, it depends on the competition for sure. But for something like bar math, it's going to be 2 out of 3. It's going to be, best in series, and it really depends on the type of competition. So for something mental like that, they're going to be rounds, and it's going to be best 3 out of 5, 2 out of 3, whatever it may be. If it is a physical grinder, it's going to be one and done, winner take all. You do not want to go rounds if it is a to failure, physical exertion, exhaustion type drill. But we've done everything from, bar math to relay races to timed holds, whether it be pull-up bar holds or plank holds. I mean, that can get a little bit crazy with people going 7, 8, 9, 10 plus minutes, things like that. So you always have to be mindful and do it yourself, just like training itself, to be like, is this feasible? Both time and you want to have juice. You want to have energy. If I'm just watching a guy hold a plank for 12 minutes, it's not necessarily the most exciting, juice-filled competition, because you want to add to the excitement in the weight room. You want to add to the excitement in what you're doing in there, so that the kids leave smiling, having fun, knowing that they got better, not only from the weightlifting of the first 55 minutes or training, but that you keep them coming back for more. And that's really one of the positive things with competitive, things at the end of a session. It can even be in the beginning of a session. If you feel like a group is just not where they need to be mentally, like, it can be a great igniter of energy for that room.
No doubt. And we, as I'm thinking about this, we played tic-tac-toe with our Devo guys on Friday morning, and, blue mini bands, green mini bands run down there. And we always set it up so there's only 3 mini bands. So once you've got them all out there, the 4th guy has to go out and put it in a new place, right, to try and get tic-tac-toe to happen. And to watch these guys come down there and just blank out on a game they played since they were a kid is so funny to watch. And they're having a blast, and they were competing. They're screaming and yelling like it's Saturday night, or Friday night if you're a high school coach, and they're getting after it. And that's what it's about, whether you're doing it before or the end of lift. Yeah, so let's get into a couple more of these competitions, because I think the coaches need some fresh ideas. One of my favorites is when you get to 2 teams. You can line them up head to head, or you can do best, your best 5 versus their best 5. Let the kids figure out their 1v1 individual matchups within there. But I like push-ups on the whistle, right? So you just blow the whistle, hit one push-up, and they're staring each other down. Whistle, push-up, whistle, push-up, whistle. Kid gets, and then I love that one. And you count, whichever team has the last kid standing, or you can do whoever wins. If there's 5 kids, whoever wins the most matchups, that team wins. It could be that. Same thing for pull-up hang. I love pull-up hang across from each other, and you get a point if you last longer than the person on the other side. Not just having the one best kid on your team. I like when it comes down to, okay, I need to do my part of the job
For sure.
and win.
And
does that make sense?
You bring up a couple good points there, right? Because you want to standardize it as much, because these guys got the competitive juices flowing. Oh, that's not that's not a push-up, that's a half rep. Look at his hips like that. He's not going all the way down, that type of thing. So the tempo on the whistle, push-up, pull-up, is absolutely critical for that. I've done it also with a large group. I remember with rowing at Dartmouth, I had 60 kids in there, and it was almost a race against the clock as far as cumulative. Like, can you get this amount of push-ups or this amount of pull-ups? Can you run down and back? Can you have multi-stage, time trials? That was kind of part of our thing as well. So you have to know the group size. You have to know the exercise. You have to kind of see those pitfalls or those traps where people are going to start arguing or getting at each other for competitive juice are going to go, and they want it called fair, and I get it. So you have to think ahead and almost see where the faults could be had and prepare for those. I also love just the basic reaction drill. And we've seen it a million times on, Instagram or any type of, TikTok or something, but you got 2, 3 guys, right in front of that cone, and you're calling out head, ears, nose, chin. And then all of a sudden you say cone, they got to go for that cone. You got to be ready to, blow that whistle in case there's a tie. You don't want any scuffles. You don't want these guys tussling too much, but that can be a fun one. And I always go like best of 3 with that one. And you can do a triple threat match with that. You could go 1-on-1, but something as simple, quick as a cone reaction, it never gets old.
All right, so we're talking about different drills, and a lot of these kind of fit into what I've done with the scores and stops competitions and the contact prep drills, like you talked about the cone pickups, a contact prep staple for us. I think all those fit in there, but also tug of war is a classic that doesn't go out of style, right? It's something about being a man and doing the tug of war is still undefeated. We have famous here is our blue tug that is hard to find and hard to buy.
Scour the internet for that. And I brought that to Fordham, man, and that was an absolute talk about bringing the dogs out. Like that brought out a level of just brutal gladiator-style competitiveness that it got chippy.
I will work on getting a discount code for the insiders here for our tug because that's undefeated. We've done the dog harness where we set up two shoulder mounts and we put a chain in between them, and that's always the kids get fired up for that. I think that's it's one of those things where you don't get a chance to compete like this in the real world. You don't walk into your corporate 9-to-5 and challenge somebody but you challenge them on a
America
spreadsheet.
Would be a lot better if you could.
So, and this is one of those things coaches get so caught up in the sets and reps and the performance and the percentages and the periodization. But you have to remember that these kids are in college or they're in high school for a couple of years. And this is some of the best years of their life. And are you making it the best years by doing these things? And I'll tell you, our kids remember winning tug of war. They remember winning the dog harness when they were a freshman. And I called them out in front of a senior and they beat a senior. It's like those are memories. And that's part of our job is to create some very positive memories and positive associations with what we do in here.
So many
those things are
programs work, but they do not work without effort and enthusiasm. And the competitions and the culture that you create will generate that effort and enthusiasm, right? We need to inspire. We need effort. We need enthusiasm. If you like Olympic lifts, great. If you don't, great. If you like compound movement, single body weight, it doesn't matter. But any program done without effort and enthusiasm will fail. And those competitions are absolutely critical to that culture that you create.
No doubt. So at Dartmouth and now at Rutgers, you guys are going to do the off-season competition. You win a competition that day. That team gets points. I'm sure it's, 10 points for first place, 8 points for second place, whatever it may be. How does that kind of back-end stuff work? And then what do you give the team that wins the off-season when you add all the points up?
We track everything. And it's going to be exactly as you said, whoever's getting first, second, third, fourth. We typically don't do more than 4 teams. And you'll get a certain amount of points for that event, for that day. And it could come down to a team competition or an individual competition where you have to step up and win it for the boys. And we'll track that throughout the entire off season. One thing that's very unique at both Dartmouth and now at Rutgers is we'll actually give negative points too for things that, maybe you should not be doing, not only for your own development as an athlete, but if you have a team that's trusting you to do the right thing, whether that be going to study hall, whether that be showing up on time, whether that be wearing the correct uniform to training, we'll actually take points away if we're not meeting those standards. So yes, we can absolutely track points that we win for our team, but we want to make sure that guys are living right. Guys are acting with high integrity and doing things outside of the weight room or competitive field, because how you do anything is how you do everything. So we want to make sure that we are creating young men that are living right, acting right, and being leaders that they need to be. So that's an important point. So after all the negatives and positives of the off season, we will have a champion, and we haven't necessarily finalized it yet about what the championship award will be, but it's probably going to be something like a badass trophy or a badass weightlifting belt or even, badass championship belt that you would see in boxing and mixed martial arts or wrestling, something like that. But something that the guys really covet and certainly want to win.
And to finish here before we get into Money in the Bank, this just jogged my memory, and I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the Brotherhood Challenge at Springfield College. So, in today's day and age, some of these kind of gauntlet competitions and things like that are getting a very bad rap. I there's a lot of people doing it the wrong way out there, and I've seen some bad stuff happen, and kids get hurt, and you got to be smart about what you're doing there. But I believe it's still done to this day. You set up, you make sure you have your athletic trainers present or somebody who's there to check everybody. Obviously, you don't let your injured kids or your at-risk kids, if they're not ready to compete, they're not allowed to compete. That's kind of common sense there. But it was a station of 10 different things going on. So you had your teams. I think we broke it up into 6 or 8 smaller teams. So instead of your big 4 teams, you broke it up even more. And you had to go to each corner of the end zone and different places and do the activity. And it might have been, sled drags for 500 total yards. It could have been a certain number of push-ups, a certain number of jumps over a hurdle. And we're talking like a 6 or a 12-inch hurdle. We're not talking about track hurdles. There was definitely some like sit-ups or something like that involved. And that old school military, but you're doing it together. And we're doing it. We can't leave this station till everybody does their part or your teammates pick up the slack. So if you have somebody that can't do 100 push-ups, your teammates can do 120 and pick up their slack. So I thought that was great. First year we did it at midnight. We somehow convinced Coach DeLong to do that. And that was never again, but it's something that I think they still do. And it gives you, especially in the spring, something to look forward to, kind of the grand finale, something you've been working all off season for. And I still think there's value in stuff like that. You just got to be smart about it.
I could hear you, I think.
Okay, we'll just keep rolling then because
Yep.
I can hear you. Can you hear me? All right, great. So whatever, I'll figure. I'll put your face there or something instead. So as long as I can hear you, we're good to go. If you can't hear me at some
Okay.
point, just tell me you can't hear me. Okay. All right. So now the big piece, right? And this is something that I still haven't figured out the right way to do it, but I want to do it here. You and I are both WWE wrestling fans. I mean, we had a practice dummy and we would body slam that thing in grad school and we thought it was hilarious. But wrestling has always been it's been a great piece. And I grew up on that. You grew up on that. And you have this concept of the money in the bank. And I know you brought it to Fordham there. Can you talk about the money in the bank and how that whole thing works and what that's all about? Because I was always
Yeah.
jealous.
So just to give a brief, background, like I think outside of just trying to prepare myself for football, as a middle schooler or a high schooler, I became enamored with some of these WWE wrestlers and just their build and seeing a Brock Lesnar or Batista or some of the physiques on these guys. It really spurred me to like train and really develop myself physically. So I became a WWE fan early on. And then as I became a strength and conditioning coach, I wanted to inspire, I wanted to create a culture of competition. And I was just trying to search for, how do I do this? How do I be authentic to who I am as a coach and bring a little bit of my personality to this team? Because the last thing I want to do is fake anything. Because if I'm faking juice, if I'm faking energy, but it's not really me, the kids are going to sniff that out and it's not going to be sustainable. So I'm going to share a little bit of who I am. And that's being a fan of WWE, being a fan of walking around with a 12-pound title belt, and also the storylines and the competition, whether it be scripted or not in WWE, and kind of share that with the athletes. And because it's authentically me, I can be sustainable with that. I can be authentic with it. And I could speak very just, I could have a lot of passion with it. And I don't care if they laugh at me or think I'm a nerd or be like, oh, WWE stuff, stupid, that type of thing. I don't care about that, because if I can get them to smile, if I can get them to kind of see the competitiveness or the fun that comes with WWE, a title belt, and a Money in the Bank briefcase, then mission accomplished. Absolutely mission accomplished. And I alluded to it earlier. I was making absolute pennies at Dartmouth, but I invested in a Walmart plastic title belt that was probably 15, $20. And it was my, award for whoever the, best worker of the week was. And it had that W on it. So I said, hey, this is the worker of the week award. You're going to get that championship belt. And there was great competition and great kind of enthusiasm with that. And then I kind of realized that it was a very subjective award, right? Where I, as the coach, was selecting who I thought was the hardest worker of the week. It wasn't necessarily the strongest person, the fastest person, the most conditioned, or the best athlete on the team, but it was who I deemed to be the hardest worker. And that's very subjective, and people can agree or disagree on my choice. So I wanted to not only keep the title belt, but I wanted to give a award of objectivity where the subjectiveness of whoever I thought was the hardest worker was taken out. So again, I invested in a 30-pound plastic briefcase, the Money in the Bank briefcase that you'll see on WWE programming. And every single week, I would have a Money in the briefcase challenge. And that challenge would differ weekly. It could be some of the challenges that we talked about earlier. It could be a med ball toss for distance. It could be tempo push-ups. It could be a 10-yard sprint. It could be pull-ups on the whistle. It could be something based on our competitive conditioning, who won the most reps in that conditioning challenge of the day. And then whoever won that, strength, speed, conditioning, was then awarded that briefcase. So now we have two awards. We have the worker of the week, who gets the title belt, and we have Mr. Money in the Bank, who gets the briefcase. Now, if you've never seen WWE, I'll explain. When you have that briefcase, inside said briefcase is a contract. On that contract, it states for 1 calendar week, you can challenge the champion anytime, any place, anywhere during our training session, because I have to be there to witness. As the principal CEO of the briefcase and the title belt, I need to be there to witness. But if you have that briefcase and we are at a training session, that guy comes over to me and he says, Coach Gil, I want to challenge for the title right now. I will blow that whistle. I will blow that air horn. We will stop training then and there. The champion needs to line up, defend his honor, defend that belt, even if he's fatigued after a hard set of squats, even if he's fatigued during a conditioning session, even if he's just coming out of the bathroom, he's got to line up and he's got to defend it. And based on if it's a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, there's a different challenge based on that day. And it could be cone reaction. It could be tempo chin-ups. It could be med ball throw. It could be a 10-meter dash. I've even done something as simple as chugging a protein shake as fast as possible. So there have been many challenges, and it's governed by the day of the week. So there's a little bit of tactics to it. Like if Scott is the champion and I'm the challenger, but I know Scott is really good at push-ups, I don't want to challenge him on push-up day. I'm going to challenge him on the 10-meter dash day when I know I can beat him. And I'm going to be in the corner lurking so that when he is most fatigued, he is most vulnerable, I will strike. And that's how it kind of works in WWE, and something I've tried to teach and educate our student athletes on. And it makes it fun, but it kind of makes that competitive culture. It creates a little bit of fun inside of our training room. And it also lets that champion know, like, you may be top dog right now, but that could very easily change. You always have to be ready. You always have to be working. That challenger, that wolf climbing the hill, is extremely hungry. You can't just be the wolf at the top of the hill. That wolf climbing the hill, he very well might be hungrier than you. So you have to be ready to defend it all costs.
Now, can you give us your most epic cash-in story or your most epic title defense? Something that, man, you think about this and it was unreal.
Man, there's been a lot of great ones. And to be honest with you, the title defenses are better than the actual, challenger winning, because inevitably I will talk to the team about, like, listen, you need to strike when he's at his weakest. And they'll buy into that. They will be like, okay, like, I'm going to wait till after that, hard set of lunges or split squats when his legs are fatigued, and then we're going to race. But when the champion's able to just, somehow, some way, find a way to grit it out and win and retain, it's an unbelievable moment. And also, like, when you kind of see, like, on the team, like, all right, this guy's the hardest worker, or this is the 3 to 5 guys who are always the hardest workers. And they win the title belt all the time. They get the title belt all the time. But then when you have that guy who necessarily slipped, he's kind of under the radar, and he's able to finally grab that gold, it's an absolutely special moment. And these guys will, they'll celebrate. They'll wear this thing to the cafeteria. They'll wear it around campus. I'll let them do that type of thing, even though I've graduated to a more expensive title belt now. There's been so many moments, but whether the challenger wins, the champion retains, it's always a great moment.
Now, I don't know if this can go on the podcast, but we also have the Royal Rumble, and we'll have to save that for maybe a behind the scenes episode. If you ever you want to hear about the Royal Rumble, you got to reach out to Coach directly and hear about that, because that's a competition in itself that is still a core memory.
Oh my God, you got to have athletic trainers.
I think the biggest
to that one.
You need a priest as well. You need somebody to pray over those guys and make sure they're okay. But when I hear this, man, the thing that I hear is that you're putting some time and some effort and some passion into not just the training, but this piece as well, because this stuff's important. And the kids, you need to be providing that experience. And if you're a coach out there and you're like, yeah, I don't know, I don't want to seem like a goofball, or I don't want to, let all that go. And I'm telling you, the kids are going to love it. It doesn't matter what it is. And this reminds me of, this is 10 years ago now, but when I started at Merrimack College, our baseball team, one of the things I brought to them was the concept of juice, jacked up, intense, contagious energy, juice. And, they surrounded, they bought into the word. And what we eventually did is I went to the store. I bought a cranberry juice bottle it had a handle on it, drank the cranberry juice, spray painted the whole thing gold, and we gave it out to the juiciest person that week. And we called it the Juice King. And it turned into, when they got it, it wasn't just, are you screaming and yelling, but are you providing energy? Are you contagious? Are you getting your teammates better? And they really rallied around that thing. We would fill out, what does it mean to be a Juice King? What does it mean? What does this award mean to you? And we'd put that inside the bottle. So something as silly as that, like a $3, $4 bottle of cranberry juice and some spray paint, and something that those kids remember. And I went to a wedding for those guys this summer, and they talked about, man, it used to be juicy, man. Juice King, where'd the Juice King trophy go? And I have no idea where it is now. I'm telling you, little things like that. Other things that I've done here in the past is, school colors, and I spray paint a brick. And I would hand that out each week because we were building something special, brick by brick. And at the end of the summer, we had 11 of those things, and I purposely planned it out. There was one week where I didn't give any out because it was like, I don't think anyone deserved a brick this week, me included. I don't think we pushed that hard. Other weeks I'd give out 2 and say, it's not just one guy who's going to win it every week. But by the end of that, we had 11 bricks, and we had a all brick squad team. And, now I do the all summer squad team, and I pick my starting 11. And the way I do it is I get the most value points. So my vote is worth 3. My assistants are worth 2. and then my summer intern gets, 1 value point. So I have the most say in but my assistants outweigh me. They get 4 points to my 3. So, and then we decide who's on our all summer team. So that's something our kids get juiced up about. And I would go to the store and I'd get the actual certificate paper and I'd go on Canva and I'd make a legit certificate and looks like you're an all conference member. And have them come up the first day of summer camp and we'd give them the award and clap them up. And again, there's a great book. I wonder if I have it. I do. Okay. It's called The Power of Moments by Chip and Dan Heath. And I think you and I are on the same wavelength of creating these positive moments, whether you're a high school coach or you're a college coach. Football is kind of like the last chance to do that. And you get to do it in a very physical way as well.
Sure.
So
it's a lot of good there. Giving me such great ideas right there. And one of my coworkers at Dartmouth, he made something simple too. He didn't, you didn't have to buy a 300-pound WWE championship belt like I did, but he made a certificate of strain, and he did something simple like that, where you would get this official college diploma looking document if you were straining the most. And kids will identify with stuff like that, whether it be Juice King or the championship belt or the certificate of strain or brick by brick, or at Rutgers, we use, that's like chopping the moment. But us as coaches creating those moments, we always will remember the Brotherhood Challenge. We always will remember those cash-in moments, more so than just, hey, we did 3 weeks of tempo front squats or things like that. Like, yes, those X's and O's, absolutely important. We need to equip our athletes with the physical, competency to perform at their sport. But we need to inspire. And part of that is creating an environment that is fun, that brings energy, enthusiasm, and then it's going to make our training program that much more effective.
no doubt. So we'll wrap up here in a few, but question I always ask everyone that jumps on the podcast here. I know personally for me, football has been a huge part of my life ever since I was a kid, right? I've been playing for a long time, and I got into fitness and I got into exercise because I wanted to be a better football player and things like that. And now I'm in coaching and I'm still involved in football and I can't leave it. I'm stuck doing football, but I love it. There's so much that I love about the team aspect and, not just the weight room piece, but all that. And so the question is, in this field, there's a lot of years where the pay is not very great. The hours are very long. The job itself is very demanding. But you've been involved in football your whole life, and there's a reason you're still involved in football. So what is it you love about football, about strength conditioning, all that together that keeps you going and keeps you fired up?
Oh man. I mean, it's so a part of my identity at this point in time, that being able to work hard with a group of people, all, for this singular goal. It's a special thing. And not many people outside of athletics get to have that, particularly football, when you have 100+ individuals all working towards a singular goal. And there's not many opportunities to be successful. You might have 10, 12 games in a year to possibly, win a championship, go to the playoffs, do something special like that together. So going through those difficult moments together, going through the hard training, the ups and downs of the season, the ups and downs in a singular game, it's very, very, very special. And when you're able to work with people who are as passionate about those things as you, like as silly as a football game or a training session may be, but if someone, you and I, like, we'll geek out on strength and conditioning together, and that's a bond that can never be broken. So same thing with football. Like, the game means a lot. It's personal. People say, don't take things personal. It's personal. Like, winning and losing on Saturday is personal. Having a good training session with my guys tomorrow, it's personal. I take it personal. And when someone doesn't, it bothers me. So it's all about finding that spark. And it was early on in me and in athletics, as well as strength and conditioning, that I take it personally, and I identify with those who take it personally, because it's something that keeps that chili hot. It keeps that fire in my belly going. And I don't think it's ever going to leave. I think even when I'm retired, I'm going to coach people for free. I'm going to train them for free. I'm always going to be a football fan. I'm always going to be an athletics fan of every single sport. And being able to work with athletes that, regardless of sport, who want to work hard, improve themselves, that's always going to be a passion of mine, regardless of their level. I've worked with cheer, dance, squash, golf, football players at the NFL level. Like, as long as that person wants to get better, as long as I surround myself with people who want to get better and add value to other people's lives, I'll always be passionate about that. So I don't know if I answered your question, but you got me going a little bit there.
As a great philosopher once said, my passion is passion.
Strengthen your forearms.
You get that Ultimate Warrior reference, you can be part of the club. We'll let you in. Coach, I'm fired up right now. This is exactly what I needed. Getting ready to put together some off-season workouts and get ready for our winter program and getting some fresh ideas there, some fresh competition stuff, especially for our high school coaches out there that are trying to do something new and provide a great opportunity for their kids. If people want to get a hold of you and they got more questions and they want to learn, how do they get a hold of you? What's the best way to get in touch?
I mean, Instagram is probably the only social media that I use. And I think I'm just Jay Gilfedder on Instagram. But if anyone ever wanted to, reach out to me, I'm part of Rutgers University Football Strength and Conditioning. So my email and contact information is there. And then please reach out to Coach Leach as well. And he'll give you my personal cell phone. I would talk to anybody about anything strength and conditioning, football, athletics. Man, I geek out on this stuff.
Heck yeah. Again, brother, I appreciate you coming on. Thank you. Thank you guys for checking out this episode of the Gridiron Warrior Podcast. We'll catch you on the next one. If you're serious about building better athletes and building a stronger program, don't stop with just this podcast. I encourage you to check out my new community, the Gridiron Warrior Insiders. Got it set up right here, and there's so many good things in there. So we have a weekly live Q&A where you can ask me questions. I'll answer them for you. I'll go over topics too if we don't have any questions. We'll get something done every week. We have Wildcat webinars. So I'm going to bring in a guest speaker to run the offense for me and have them come in and give us kind of an hour-long presentation about a topic that they're really good at. You'll have early access to every podcast episode, weeks or months before I even decide to launch them, because we've already got 10 to 15 in the books ready to go. The equipment room, right? So anything you need here. So discount codes, affiliate links, bonus content, anything that I think is important, we'll put it in there. Obviously, discounted prices for any of our courses, scores and stops, contact prep, summer program, it's all there. And then the biggest thing for me is that you'll get a free ticket to our live seminar that we're going to host here at Rhode Island this summer. It's going to be sick. You want to get in the community. If you want to keep getting better, you want to help get your program better. Link is in this podcast description. It's in my bio. Check it out. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks. Have a great day.